some of these pieces, I see them I keep thinking, wow, that would be so much fun to be that person, to be somebody. And, it brings out that imagination, and it doesn't stop at 5 years old or 6 years old.
Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Shafer of Talks with Dr. Shafer. I'm so glad you're here. I'm a physician, mom, coach, author, publisher, and I am passionate about helping others reclaim their stories so they can build their most beautiful future. Now, today we have someone who not only has built a beautiful life for himself, but also is helping others do the same through his nonprofit. Christophe Wagoner is the founder of October's Child, a nonprofit based in Austin, Texas, that connects kids and families with costumes for Halloween, providing free costumes, many of which he has upcycled to create one-of-a-kind magical masterpieces. Christophe works to make sure that children don't miss out on the magic of Halloween. Christophe, thank you so much for being here on the show today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I came across what you're doing on social media. I believe it was Instagram, and I saw one of your stories. And you had really gone nationwide viral. You were on CBS Saturday Morning leading up to Halloween this year. For people listening, because our episodes, of course, exist in perpetuity, for October of 2025. This was really exciting to get out on the national stage. Getting back to the heart of why you do what you do and what started this all, share with us how you got started with October's Child.
Well, Halloween has always been a fun thing for me. Halloween and Christmas are my two favorite because they're the most out there, and there's no way of going overboard for either one of them. But Halloween, I like because you definitely are more creative. And I've always enjoyed making costumes as an adult and helping others do it. I've been sewing costumes for one friend for 11 years, always something new for them. And I moved into a new neighborhood. I call her my ex-door neighbor because we're still good friends, but we don't live next door anymore. And she said, yes, we get trick-or-treaters because I'd never gotten them when I lived in an apartment. And so I was all ready for it that year. And it's definitely a good people watcher thing because people sit out on their patios now and the kids parade by and you do it. And I can see that there are children out there that didn't have access to the same things that some of the others did. You could see some very ornate costumes, and then you see some that are like a 50s zombie. It's a t-shirt and jeans with some blood on it. That may be what they were going for, but I feel as though some of them, when you see them watching other children, that it's what they could do. And that's all we ever ask is if you can do what you can, to have fun. I mean, they're still out there trying to do everything that all the other kids are doing. At that time, I was at a different position in my job, but I worked at a mystery shopping business consulting company, and I would do mystery shops at resale stores. And I had to make purchases, so I thought I would just kind of start doing that and using the money that for purchases and started purchasing costumes. And I can't really say why I decided I'm going to give away costumes. It's just that I saw somebody, I saw somebody that was in need, and it was the way I was raised that you help. And this was just something I thought I could help with. And so I just collected stuff, and I went to one resale store and got an entire carload because the Goodwill Central Texas has an outlet store that you buy by the pound. And they had all these new Halloween goods. And I had like $1,800 to $2,000 worth of stuff that I paid $50 for. So that first search told me that I was on the right path. So then I just collected throughout the year and set up a little thing in my garage, and the ex-door neighbor came over and got bumblebees for her girls, and then word of mouth. I don't even remember how I advertised it. This was in 2017. And but a lot of word of mouth, and then people to drive by, people see something going on because it was on a Saturday, so it's like a yard sale. So people stopped to see, but then they were really surprised that they weren't having to pay anything. So um, I thought it was a great turnout for something out of the ordinary. And so I thought I'd do it again the next year. And it just got bigger and bigger. And this year I've had 4 by 30 tents and 4 by 10 tents, and it was crowded. So it's grown.
I love this initiative. And it really makes me think of how, especially now in the world, things can feel quite dark and polarizing and overwhelming, and that we have so much work to do. And I think it's easy to start spinning and thinking, oh my gosh, there's so much work to do. Where do I start? Who do I help? Everyone needs help. In this point in time in our city, the kids went from having access to free lunches and free breakfasts. And I'll tear up because it's really emotional for me. They really need those benefits. And they went from having access to that to not. And while, we as a family could not feed the whole school, right? Even the school couldn't feed the whole school. My daughter had a friend who she mentioned to me after school was not eating. And our other younger child was asking a lot of questions about that. And we have a saying in our home that goes as such, that we actually learned from a wonderful neighbor who has since passed away, but inspired us in many ways. And she shared with us, you only look, we were going through something quite challenging in our lives and we needed help. And there was some embarrassment with that and shame. It was something new for us in this chapter of our life. And she brushed that aside and she said, we only look in our neighbor's bowl to make sure that they have enough, right? We don't judge how much they have. We just make sure they have enough. And if they don't, it's our job to do everything we can to help. And so when my daughter, I have always taught my children this, because as kids grow up, I think it's quite normal to, even if envy is not an emotion that they feel themselves in general, to reflect on that, because they hear other kids saying, well, you have this, well, you have that. Oh, this is the cool thing, right? So we see that happen. And so I've always taught them this lesson of, we only look in our neighbor's bowl to make sure that they have enough. Anything else is really not our business, not our concern. If they don't have enough, that's our concern. We step in to help in any way we can. That is in a way that they can accept, of course, as well. So my daughter came home from school and shared this with me. And so we just decided we were just going to send 2 lunches in. And what had been happening was they were sharing a lunch. So that child had to, be asking every day, can I have something to eat from the other kids? So what we did was we just packed up several lunches discreetly in bags. Like, you just give this to her. She's got lunch. No more questions asked. Right. And we don't have to talk about it with the other kids. We just do it. We just send it, because no child should be hungry. And so reflecting on that and on the work you do with October's Child, I think there's just something so beautiful in seeing the small ways when it feels overwhelming and that it's hard to find ways to help. What are the small ways, the ways that resonate with you too, right? Like you said that it really resonated with you to help connect kids with costumes and their creativity and to open that up. If a child is worried about things like food, they're not necessarily having the opportunity to think about creativity. So you really focused on allowing them that opportunity. And so I love how you really leaned into this. And I hope that listeners will be thinking about the things in their lives, opportunities to lean into offering a helping hand. What is their niche way? Because this is a very October's Child. It's a very niche way to help. But what is their niche way to help?
I believe it just like that. But it's not even just the children are doing it, it's the adults. They have to decide, do we get something for the kids to wear for Halloween, or do they get something to eat? And that's always going to win out. And that really affects them because they can't give to their children, something that they really want them to have. And I mean, a lot of parents are really good at covering up just how much struggle there is. And this is one of those ways that they don't have to worry about it. It's great when the kids do not have to ask, can we afford this? Or can I get this? Or what? Um, this year, I mean, the costumes, yes, but one of the big things that went away this year is all of the decor, because that's even further down the line that, we're not going to decorate. I mean, we just want to make sure the kids are. So it was something there. And you talk about them being creative. We always have a couple of racks that we call our Frankenstein racks, which are like black shirts, orange shirts, this or the pants for this or what, so they can create their own. And that's why we call it Frankenstein. Plus, it's very appropriate. Um, but it's always great if you ever have anybody that's able to attend, you can see the laughter and the smiles, and it's so wonderful when you have a parent come up.
Absolutely. The feeling that they have, because those of us who have been through a time where we had limited means, the feeling you have in your body, that stress you have, and that feeling of not being able to show up for your child, it's so painful. But the way that you have stepped in to create a space where at least that one stress can go away. And it seems like a small thing. It's one night of the year, but when we think back on our childhoods, there's a collection of memories that really stand out. And Halloween and the creativity and the connection and the trick or treating is really one of them. And I think it's such a beautiful place to start with this community effort that you've created, because Halloween really is, it's not about candy. It's about community. It's about connecting. And through the decorations, through the costumes, you're connecting with people, and you're showing also new bits and pieces of yourself. It's almost like you can try something out, which I think for kids is so important, for them to have safe opportunities to try out little bits of their personality and kind of feel what that feels like, see what the response is. And I think when you referred to, you love the holidays because they can be really big and outlandish. Kids are often shy to be big and outlandish, even if a part of their personality is that way. And trying on a costume and seeing that, okay, I was big and outlandish and it went over fine. In fact, it received positive reinforcement from other people. That might be encouraging for a child to say, tomorrow in school, I'm going to step out more as my authentic self. I'll be a little bigger. I'll take up a little more space, because yesterday I dressed up as Barney, and I thought maybe people would make fun of me, but actually people were singing songs and having fun and really enjoying it.
One of the things that I noticed is that, and this does work for adults too, but we have a whole tent of nothing but wigs. And some of these, when the child puts on the wig, because that's not something that, dress up clothes, yes, but hair, no. But they can put on a wig, and anybody that has put on a wig, you become somebody else. And there was a girl, she put it on and she became like a runway model, is what she was doing. Everywhere she was walking was like that. And she literally walked up to her father and he didn't recognize her, because it was totally different color, it was a different length. And it was great, because she was so excited that he didn't even realize it was her. So it was like going undercover. And it you're right, having the chance to do imagination, you know you think everybody wants to be a princess, everybody wants to be a princess or a superhero, and then they get there and they see something, they go, huh, I wonder what that's like. uh we've I've been getting costumes from people all across the US now, and which is amazing. And we've gotten some really, I have a puffer fish. I wouldn't even have thought that was a costume, but it was amazing. It's a beautiful costume. And a mailman, hat, USPS, hat, pants, shirt, bag, mail. It even has mail in it. And, so some of these pieces, I see them, and I keep thinking, wow, that would be so much fun to be that person, to be somebody. And um, it's it brings out that imagination, and it doesn't stop at 5 years old or 6 years old, because we do have teenagers that come, and I would rather have. I've seen this on other things, but I would rather have a teenager going out and trick or treating than going out and partying. You know, if I know people would laugh at me, but I could go. I'd just put on a Santa hat and just go, because I've been told that a few times already. So I'd hope it's not the same, because pictures from last year are 42 pounds more. So try not to be Santa now, but I'll take it, because I've been called the Halloween Santa and I've been called Fairy Godfather. Either of those work for me as long as they're calling me.
Oh, I love that. And I have heard you called that on several appearances you've done. And I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite? What resonates most with your character? Because again, it's fun to get into these characters, right?
It is. I kind of had thought about the Halloween Santa before, only because I had ordered pizza for the volunteers a couple of years ago. And he said, "How will I find you if all of those people are there?" I said, "I'll be Santa wearing a skull shirt." And he found me right off. Um, the whole Fairy Godfather, that was a whole new thing, which I like that one too. But I really, if we could just get some cool weather in September in Austin, I want to make a black velvet Santa costume with orange fur. That way, I'll
Wow.
definitely would be Halloween Santa. But I also don't want to pass out in front of everybody, because it's 98 degrees.
So, Christophe, I've never actually tried on one of these costumes, and I bet you've got the inside scoop on this. So, would it work if it was like a blow up Santa costume? Do those actually regulate air? I mean, are they cool inside? Or are they not cool inside? Those big blow up costumes.
They do have air inside. The costume I wore this year was a blow up, but it wasn't the full one. This one was me I had my Hawaiian shirt on and my little white zinc and my glasses, and I was riding a 6 foot flamingo. So, but that part was all air. But yes, you can feel it. It would definitely be much better. Not very maneuverable, but it would feel great.
It's on my bucket list to get one of the dinosaurs because I've never done it. Our kids, we still have one child that's relatively small, and so you have to carry him and stuff. So no, it's not. It wouldn't work for me right now. But when the kids are all bigger, I have this dream of dressing up as one of the dinosaurs. And I hope if someone finds a Santa costume that's a blow up Santa costume, please send it to October's Child, care of Christophe Wagoner, this is for you for next year. And then maybe we can work on the orangifying it and adding some little black things to make it fun. This year, too, we bought a bunch of costumes for October's Child and sent it to Christophe, care of October's Child in Austin. And when we were doing that shopping for all of the amazing costumes that, for whatever reason didn't find a home this Halloween, but we know that they'll find wonderful homes in Austin next year now. We even found a really cool disco ball wreath that had bats on it. And I was like, I'm just going to take these bats off. And now we've got a Christmas disco wreath, kids. And they were so excited because our youngest we have a disco ball that hangs in a room in our house year round because he loves it. He's a big dancer, music fan. So we always have that there. So now we have a disco wreath. And so I love how you not only get the donations, we were kind of lazy about it. We sent you costumes that were already made. We didn't really flex our creative muscles with that. We did more the charitable muscles, which are also really important. But I love one of the things that you do, that you use your creativity as well as inviting kids to, but you use your creativity to craft costumes to take something and make it even better, even more interesting. What are some of your favorite costumes that you've crafted over the years with October's Child?
I've made some from scratch, and but the others, I just see something, and sometimes it's an automatic when I find it. I think what I can do with it, and then I think my favorite ones are happy accidents. And don't get me wrong, I will take a costume as a costume. So anybody wants to send just regular costumes, that's fine. We are not going to turn that down. But I had a white, I call it a baby doll dress because it's the big poofy sleeves and the poofy skirt and gauzy. And when I washed it, because I do, just in case anybody doesn't know, I wash every costume that I get unless it's brand new. All the hair and everything gets washed and restyled. I've learned a lot about wigs in 9 years, a lot. Um, but this dress, it got caught in something in the dryer and burnt a hole in the top layer. It has like 3 layers of the gauze. And I was very disappointed because I really liked the dress. And I still wanted to use it. And I had some picks here with black velvet leaves. And so I pulled all the leaves off and I glued one over the hole. And then I just glued heavier amounts at the bottom and just lighter and lighter as it goes up. And I liked it. But then I took the branches that they were on and flattened them out and attached them to the layer below. So then it's almost like a shadow of trees behind that. And then I was like, I have some of these fairy lights. So I put purple fairy lights on the bottom layer. So now there's this purple glow that shows the shadows of the trees and the black leaves falling. And then I just added some black fish netting stuff to the bottom and around the sleeves to make it more like that. And we used like the cracked porcelain doll face to go with it. So it was an accident of a hole, but it was like one of my favorite creations because it just kept going. And as I said, more is more. And somebody did find the costume, loved it. And I said, wait, wait. And then I flipped the lights on and she just squealed. And that brings so much joy because somebody
Oh,
found that and they know that they're going to be the only one with that costume.
that is so magical. It makes me think of the Met Gala. That child got a Met Gala level costume.
I didn't say it went that level, not that level. I have done
I think
some
so.
like that. I have done some that for the friend that I said I do his costumes for.
I love that. And you have shared on other appearances that you've done that growing up, you did create your costumes, that was something that you as a family did. You come from a large family. What was that like for your family? Did you do like group costumes or was it always individualized? How did you approach it?
It was never group costumes. That just wasn't a thing because there was so many of us. I mean, I I had a big family, but like my baby sister, I was 14 when she was born. So Halloween was kind of past for me and it's too much for her. But I mean, I know that we made a lot of the stuff, but most of our costumes as a kid were masks that you bought. And if you see masks from the 70s, no matter if they're supposed to be cute, they're not. They're scary. They're creepy looking. But I mean, we would always, have our clothes, do something different with it. But it wasn't anything specific that I can even pinpoint, partially because I'm old and I don't remember a lot back then. But I do know our nearest neighbors were 2 miles away. So, we would go and I have to say, kids don't know what they're missing about homemade Halloween treats because that popcorn balls, the real carameled apples, all those things were so good growing up. But we we may not have had a lot, but again, my parents made sure we at least had something and that we went out trick or treating and had the time of our lives. As you mentioned, it is an important part of childhood because the two biggest events, other than summer and getting out of school, is is Christmas and Halloween. Those are the two things that kids look forward to because, for one, they're going to get something for it, but it's just there's nothing but fun associated with it. And I know that there's marketing, there's TV shows, there's all kinds of things for Christmas. I mean, it's going on now and we're I mean, it started just 2 weeks ago already for Christmas. But Halloween isn't it's a market. There's market out there, but it's not hyped that much. And it is one of those holidays that kids look forward to and adults because it gives adults chance to be kids And that tells you right there that Halloween is a good memory for kids, because that's the reason adults do it, because they remember how much fun they had then and they're having a party now. Yes, it's I can go on and on about Halloween because I think it's just a fun time.
I love that. And I have seen you gathering costumes that weren't for children too. Do you have costumes for adults as well with October's Child?
We do, and we actually had a pup tent this year. That's what we called it, because we had over 100 pet costumes, and those always go fast. Those always go fast because that's your children too. You know,
Mm.
I love when I did this. There was a couple of years ago, and it just so happened it was a perfect size family, and I had a gorilla costume, an adult banana costume, a child's banana costume, and a pet banana costume. So, and I was able to get them all to go to one family. And so, that was going to be such a cool looking piece.
Gosh, that's so much fun. We did
And,
Adam's Family this year because
uh,
our one of the kids, well, actually 2 of the girls really love Adam's Family and Wednesday Addams thing. So it's so much fun. And as parents, it's so much fun to engage with your kids in their
right,
creativity. So
very much
their
so.
stepdad had thing sitting on his shoulder, and that was
I have
really
one over
fun.
here. Got a Cousin It costume this year, which isn't that much, but it's the bowler hat, and it's just lined with yarn all the way around so that when they wear it, it's a very simple costume, but it gets the effect there, and it was really cute.
Yeah, and people know, yeah.
People,
Yeah, dad
yeah,
wore just a trench coat and a nice suit underneath, so he looked like what's the name of the character? I'm
go
forgetting.
me.
What's his name? Gomez, the guy who's kind of like a Frankenstein that they brought back to
Oh,
life.
Lurch.
Lurch, yeah, he looked like Lurch. Thank you so much for helping with that. So he looked like Lurch, but as we were walking around, the funniest moment, and this is where the community and connection comes from. So the funniest moment comes, we're walking through our towns. We have the businesses actually do a Halloween the weekend before Halloween in the light. So that's great for kids too who maybe want to trick or treat, but they're so little that they get scared at night. So the businesses downtown will all be open so kids can go. And so we're walking around, and my husband walks by another dad who also is Lurch with thing on his shoulder. And they kind of look at each other. And then it became a whole thing that they were actually like reunited and where's the body? And the kids were having so much fun. But it's just so much fun to create these memories and also to have an opportunity to be silly with our kids because I think we really miss out on opportunities to be silly with our kids and the gifts that those moments bring.
I helped a coworker years ago. She had a new baby. I mean, but still wanted to do Halloween. And I found this lobster costume, and it was a cute little lobster costume. And then she was saying something. I said, "Oh, you know what you can do? Get one of those big lobster pots, and the two of you can carry that with him in the pot. And that way you can carry the baby." Because I was worried about you when you were talking about the dinosaur, because you're not going to be able to carry the baby if you're a T Rex because your hands are like this and you can't do it anyway, even if you wanted to. But
Right.
I like that's one of those things. It's probably one of the things that I argued about internally and with friends is like sometimes I'll find a costume and I'll or pieces that I'll put together and go, oh, this looks amazing. And then I'll see somebody take the hat and somebody else will take this and somebody, oh, man, it was so good like that. So, I mean, I have to look at it. It's their creativity, but I was like, it's not mine. But each year we have learned different things. So somebody told me when we roll things off the truck, they would start falling off the racks because that ramp. And he said, why don't you wrap it up with saran wrap when it's done? And we had rolls of that. And I'm like, well, of course. So now we do that. And now this year we had 2 tag guns. So, if I put a hat with it, it's going to be with it. At least
I
for a
love
little
it.
while. At least for a little while. But it does help keep the gloves and things that go with suits or the hat, the head pieces. So, yeah, come up with different pieces, and we've got our tools that we use now. Again, because we keep learning stuff, it's going to be something every year. Um, we learned that, what is it, 50 by 52, was that 250 square foot? That's not a lot. It seemed a lot more when you saw it. Um, Space is not big enough for people. So now I have gotten some donations, and the first thing I did with them is bought 4 more 10 by 10 tents. So
Mm,
now it's going to be 60 plus feet deep and 60 plus feet wide, um, and hope that'll help. But I
mm.
keep feeling as though it's not going to be big enough. Um, I've got so many people that have been writing to me. It There are very few people out there that are going to understand the way I feel when I get these emails and messages, because it's nice to see other people feel and see the same thing I do. Even locally. I mean, I've been doing this for 8 years, and it's kind of flown under the radar. I mean, people know, but not even everybody locally know. But because of some of the publicity I've gotten this year, and so surprising, very surprising, I've gotten even people locally that they said they can't believe they haven't seen this. And they have a boot shop. They do custom boots, because that's a big thing in Texas. And they gave me bags of the remnants of leather to use and cut and accessorize things. And she was just all about it. And while they were there, her husband is talking to a customer, explaining who I am and what I do to his customers. And then they come over, and it's I was in a Goodwill, and this lady walked up to me and she goes, "Excuse me, are you the guy that was on TV shopping here?" I said, "Yeah." And it's like, it's just so bizarre for me to see how much this has blown up. But anytime I watch a story over, I get very emotional, because it's my life, and people see it. The Washington Post did a story on it, and that was amazing. But then I'm getting messages because it's been reposted in France, Australia, Africa, and Greece. And it's so shocking, that I get these messages, and Halloween is a holiday that resonates with everybody.
It is, and you've planted this beautiful seed, and now you're getting to see the fruits, right? It takes those years of tending and caring for it and building it before you see the fruits of your labor, and you're starting to see that spread. I wanna talk about the ins and outs of this operation, and I also wanna talk about, now that the operation is going not just national, but international, it's going global, this idea, and it's resonating with people. How can people understand the inner workings of how to create this? And is there a way to not reinvent the wheel, but to actually bring what you do and kind of rubber stamp it in their communities, because you have so many skills and so much knowledge from what you've already done in Austin? Can people take that um, blueprint and make it work in their communities?
They can, and they are. I With this story, I've actually gotten in contact with some people that they do something similar to this. They have a child's store that they give away costumes, or they pull together, or collections. But I had somebody in Northern California and somebody in the Upper East Coast. I want to say it was New Jersey, but I'm not sure. And it all came in the same week, that they were wondering if there was a way they could do a branch of October's Child in their area.
Yeah.
A branch. It's
Yeah.
it's far beyond anything that I'd never even dreamed of it. It just This was me, and I never even dreamed of people wanting to literally take what I've done and redo it. I did write to somebody 2 days ago that she was kind of wondering what her first steps would be, and that she wanted to do something. And I feel like this was in Louisiana, the very
Mm.
south part of Louisiana. And I do apologize to anybody if I can't remember details because I really have been getting a lot. Um, but I let her know, don't try to overdo it. I didn't start out big, I started small because, for one, you have to see if there is a quote unquote market for it. The, the people in your neighborhood may not. Um, I always tell people to try to do it before Halloween. That's why I always do it the last weekend of September before everybody goes out and spends the money. And if you don't see something, then go. Obviously, they've got to make a living as well. Uh, and I do let them know. I said, I want to be upfront. It's going to cost you money and it's going to take up a lot of your time. I've mentioned it before. I haven't been on vacation since 2016. And my first event was 2017. So figured that out. Um, there is a lot of cost involved um, making purchases because I do. This year, I've been getting donations. Normally, I get a couple of people will send me something or whatever, or bring it to me, or what. But and then I have another local nonprofit that's run by a church group that they donate the Halloween stuff to me for the last 3 years. Um, and so that's helped a lot. But I still go out and purchase and check because I have to. That's one of my faults, and do that. But storage, I up until 4 years ago, I stored everything in my apartment. The patio was packed. My bedroom was packed. I mean, I don't have company, so they don't see all that mess. Um, and just do it. But sorting everything here as well. And it just got to a point where I said, I'm going to get a storage unit. So we got a 5x10, just narrow one. That lasted a month. I was like, we can't do anything. And then it went up to like, I think mine are like 10 by 15, 10 by 20, something like that. And because of the stories, a gentleman reached out and he called U-Haul and he put the two units on his card for a year. So he's paying for the two storage units that I've been paying for years. Um, and that is that same weight off of my shoulders that I think is off parents' shoulders. Um, because people don't realize how much, unless you do it all the time. And I just did it month by month. It wasn't until somebody asked me and I looked and went, oh, that's why I haven't been on vacation, because it's about $5,000 a year for those two storage units. And I love that he's doing that because I have a double-edged sword going. I'm getting a lot of donations and I've had to get two more units. So technically, I'm back to my same expenses. So it's going to cost me, even though I've got two units being paid for, it's going to cost me another 5,000 or so because those units don't do like apartments. They don't wait for a year to go up. They go up every so many months. So, and I'm kind of stuck because I can't put that stuff in my apartment now. I literally got 6 pallets from the people that donate to the other nonprofit this morning, and that's what I'll be doing when I leave here, is sorting through all that and putting it in different storage units. But when I thought I was kind of in the clear and had money to go buy more costumes, because that's what I said what's going to happen if somebody paid for storage, I just have more money for costumes. I'm going to have to divert back, and now I'm kind of at the same spot. Even though I have more costumes and I won't be making those purchases, I still have to pay for the storage because and it took two 26-foot trucks to move everything to the unit or do the event this last year. And that was mind blowing when I found out you couldn't get all that in a truck.
And I suspect it's only going to grow and grow. And I think that's why it's so important that we have these these conversations and we get like-minded people together, because our audience is a group of like-minded people. They're people who want to make the world a better place, who want to find the way that they can put their fingerprints on things. They can make it grow, make it better. And so I really hope that someone who's listening to this, it resonates with them, and maybe they have access to a storage unit near you, or maybe they have an entity in their city, in their town, that they think, you know what, I can take this blueprint and I can make a branch. Because I think, I know you got choked up, and I've been crying off and on this entire episode for those who have been watching the visual side of things, because it's so touching and it really resonates with me. But I think when we do philanthropic work, it's really important in my family, and we are active in a lot of things. There are things you do yourself, right? There are things that don't exist that you do yourself, you create them. But then it's really exciting when you see an entity that's working so well and you get to just help them, right? So there are the things in life that you have to build from the ground up, like you built October's Child. But then there are things that really inspire you that you can just run up and say, okay, how do I help? Okay, I go do this. And you can just really boots on the ground, get running and be a part of it. And so I love this idea of, if you're in the Austin area, participating, or if you're not and you want to donate for storage unit, for equipment, for costumes, donate. In your community, are you inspired to make it a part of your community? Can we create something even bigger so that kids are able to take part in this beautiful memory and the creative moment of Halloween? I think that's so beautiful and so exciting. Are there actionable ways that you would like, maybe a top 3 to 5 things, that if someone is listening and they're inspired, what are maybe your top 5 ways that someone could participate in this project to make it go the furthest to help kids get costumes for next year for Halloween?
You talking about here or creating their own?
I would say for October's Child as it exists. And then, of course, if you have tips for communities how to start. But I think you've already really given a lot of great tips about how you got started, how you started small and you grew it, because that's meaningful change, right? We have to put in the time and grow it and nurture it. But for October's Child as it exists now, what are maybe some 3 to 5 top ways that people who are inspired to do so can contribute to the effort to make next Halloween the best Halloween ever?
Go to octoberschild.com and it's got different ways of donating, and that's including time. We did have less volunteers this year because we had a large family that helped every year and they moved away. So, and we came to depend on them because they were so involved and wanted to help. And we missed them. And I told them that. And then they've seen how big it's gotten. But volunteers, for sure, not just the day of the event. Yes, we definitely want people to help then. But the stuff that I've gotten today, we have to go through and we have to sort. I have, excuse me, I have tubs that say noses, tubs that say tails and ears, and hats and masks and makeup and capes and such like that. And then the costumes themselves, we got to take them and put they even the new ones when they come in packages, we take them out and put them on hangers because the packages take up too much space. And all of you have
Mm.
been in a store and know what happens to those packages when people are looking at them. They tear them out of the package because you can't tell. So we want it out there and accessible. So there's that. I've been getting emails about people wanting to volunteer, and it's the event's so far away. I was so afraid I'm going to lose it. So I put them in a, a, a folder, and I'm going to make a group email and message them every time I'm going to go work in the storage or if I'm going to go do something. Just sending out as a group email to let them know. And if they feel like they want to help or if they know somebody who wants to help, then they can reach out and just keep them involved in the whole process. Because I think helping throughout the year, it's going to become more meaningful to them when they're helping and they see the fruits of their labor, that they've done this and they sorted and they fixed this and they go, oh, I remember when I put this one over. You know, it makes a difference. Obviously, monetary. Uh, the biggest expense, as I've said, is storage. I do have to buy hangers for these every year because I used to keep them all, but if you've ever played Barrel of Monkeys, hangers are worse. You can you can you can stack them however you want. It's like Christmas lights. It's just so much trouble. I mean, we still keep some, but it's a lot of, I mean, I could put two people to work just doing that and they would lose their minds and have to take a break. But those pieces like that, rolling racks, um, Habitat for Humanity Restore donated 8 of the industrial rolling racks. They let us borrow them for a couple of years. And then the last time I went back, which was about 2 years ago, he said, they're right where you left them. So why don't you just take them? And so we usually got the rolling racks 2 weeks before the event. So those were some massive 2 weeks of sorting and hanging and everything. And now having those rolling racks, we sort as we go. And I've gotten one other person that said they may have some racks for us, so I'm hoping so. Unfortunately, we found out the hard way. The racks that you order online or get from like Walmart, Target, or any of those like that are not made for this type of stuff. The weight just collapses them. Even two of
Mm.
the nice ones, not the Z racks, but nicer racks, collapsed when we rolled them off the truck. And then we're scrambling to try to get that. We're right now using galvanized pipe and putting them between racks so that gives us a little bit more space, but you can only put so much on there. So that, I mean, the tables we use, again, I had to get more tents. I'm never going to say no if somebody has more tents because we can use it. Um, I've gotten one person that reached out and it was weird because it was the day after I spoke about this with the treasurer. Um, he said, I can help with some face painting during the event if you want. And we had just discussed that. We thought it would be really cool, and then the next day or two, somebody volunteers to do it. I just hope that person knows what he's getting into because there were a lot of children. And we're hoping to be able to convince a food truck to be there next year to have coffee and everything for people in the mornings and stuff and for our workers as well. So the volunteering, the help can be just as much as if you tell people, just telling people about the event and about octoberschild.com. That makes all the difference too. We'll have flyers set up once it gets going. You'll see this year's flyer if you go to the website, and people can hang those flyers or send them to people. Just because they don't live here in Austin or in Texas doesn't mean they don't know somebody here. And they may not see the advertisement through regular things. Although this year, the advertisement's going to be so good on the flyer. It's October's
Mm.
Child. I've seen on CBS Morning News, peoplemagazine.com, and CNN Good News. You know, it's going to have some names behind it. I am going to reach out to everybody next year before the event. If anybody really wants to see what it looks like, Texas Country Reporter did a story and they were actually at the event. So it's the most realistic to see. And me watching it, and I mean, I'm in it, I can see me, just blew my mind how busy it was because I'm focusing on whoever I'm with at the time. But there were just people, but there were so many smiles and laughter and giggling. It was, I can't help but be happy when I see it because, as one of the reporters had pointed out, you did this. And it took a while for me to really absorb that because I have a lot of help. But she says, but none of this would have happened if you didn't do it. And I, my sisters have been so helpful about this. And they've gotten me to where, because they tell me how proud they are. And I'm finally gotten to that point where I can be proud because I am proud of how this took out. And I'm sorry about this. That's part of me.
Hey, I'm over here crying too. Anybody who's watching, I've just been wiping my face this entire episode, but I think that, it just speaks to the importance of what you're doing. And when we come back to saying, I did this, it resonates not only with what you've done, but with the power that we all have to do really amazing things. And so I appreciate you. Yeah.
It is. It's I just, I did this because there was a few kids that I noticed, that I thought could use the help. And each year it grows and it grows, and it's telling me that there are a lot of kids out there that need help, a lot of them. And I know I'm not getting even a small percentage of the ones that actually need the help. These kids are getting it, but that if I'm getting them in just my general area, there are children everywhere then that need this. And I would love that somebody else is doing this. If it's a branch of October's Child, that's even more amazing. I told you that there's some places that did things for children and stuff, and he said he was going to collect the costumes that is left over afterwards. And then he sent me a flyer that he posted at the store, collecting costumes, blah, blah, blah. And then he sent another flyer. It says, in partnerships with October's Child. That was, you know, it's just wonderful. And then he posted, bring a costume and spin the wheel to win a free prize. So, I mean, there are people out there that are really trying to help, and it's so wonderful. Uh, I People had asked how to get costumes to me, and I had never had anybody ask it before this year, and so I'm like, so I gave them my address, and then somebody's like, your address is out there now, so I'm like, oh yeah. That. So I went and got a PO box because this is a problem I didn't know I was going to have. So I got a PO box, and the I got it from the people that run Parcel Post, which is where we do all of our shipping for my job. And I've gotten to know them really well, and they've come the last 2 years without ever being asked to help set up all the decor stuff. And it looks amazing because they're merchandising like they do their stores, so it's wonderful. But I went, and that's where I got my PO box, and then they donated the fee back. I paid for the box, and then they donated it back. Um, I always thought these two were wonderful people, but it just proves that even more. You know, they're friends now. I mean, they have been shortly after I met them because they're just that easy to get to know. Uh, But now I have a PO box, and then I get notifications, and now it's really great. I get those notifications in my email and go, "You've got a package." And so I go the first one, and he goes to the back, and I can see him moving all these boxes out of the way to get to my package, and then he starts rolling all those boxes up front. And I'm like, "Wait, those are mine?" And so it was, I've got goosebumps now because it was 14 puppy costumes, not for puppies, but costumes to be puppies. And it came from this choral group that did some kind of performance. And so it's like these three big boxes of puppy costumes, and it has a picture attached to each of the dog they're supposed to be, like the breed of dog. So there's poodles and German shepherds and beagles. It's just hilarious. But it was such a shock because he was beaming because he knew it was going to surprise me to see all these boxes were from me. So it's, if you want to donate costumes, I'll take those. If you want to donate half a costume, no, I prefer it's not cut in half, but I can work with that. But if it's the top or the bottom, I can easily do that because I can make some that'll go onto the Frankenstein rack, and somebody will be very creative out of it.
Christophe, I have just loved sharing this time with you, and I'm so excited. You've got my wheels turning, and I know that you have our listeners' wheels turning about how they can work with you, replicate this in their community, make Halloween even more magical for kids. So I so appreciate you. Before we wrap up, What is an unexpected lesson that you've learned through your work with October's Child that's really changed you and that you would like to share?
It's the way that I evidently I can make people feel. Um, when I 2020, I wasn't sure it was going to be anything because of 2020, but it was a big event. It wasn't at the place I had. It wasn't at the Williams School where I have it now. Um, it was across the street in the parking lot, and it had a really good turnout. And this gentleman come up to me, and he shook my hand, and he just said, "I just want to say thank you." It was so weird because it was 2020. You didn't touch people. You didn't. It had been so many months, and it was such a strange and wonderful feeling to shake hands, to have contact. And doing this, I've I've made friends that I would never have known had I not done this. I have people that come back every year, either to help or to shop or do both. Um, and I've made friends through this. It's the people I got the leather from. She said, if there's anything you need from us, just let us know. And um, just finding out how many people believe that this is something that's worthwhile, that I'm doing something right.
Christophe, you're doing so many things right, and I think you're a friend to more people than you could imagine. And I love the essence of who you are and how you share it with people. I'm so grateful to you for so generously sharing your story here on Talks with Dr. Shafer. Could you remind us your website so that everyone can go and connect with you and subscribe if you have a newsletter so that they can stay in touch with you and know what's going on and help as the year unfolds to make Halloween 2026 the very best ever for October's Child?
They can go to octoberschild.com. It's a new website that my friend Sam down the street, he volunteered and built the website for me this year, just before the event. So there are still things. He's going to add a page that has the any media stuff so that people can read more about it. But it does have the about us. It has the FAQs, how to donate. It has the flyers, and it's going to add pictures of all the events that anybody that went to the event. If you want to send pictures of you in your costumes, please do, because I'd love to show people what you look like. I've gotten a couple. And that way, when they send them, they know what it's for. So that way, we've gotten approval to have them done. But it's got Venmo in there that's set up. I am not a social media type person, but I'm having to become one to be able to keep up. So if we get a newsletter and get all that, it would be on the site as well. So it's ever growing. I'm always sending him something new that we were trying to figure out how to set it up in the site. It looks amazing. He did such a great job, and I tell him every time somebody tells me that, so that he knows. And then we enlarge the door so he can get his head through. And then but but he deserves it. He did a lot of work on it. Um, he'd actually been trying for a couple of years, but I he does this for a living, and I know that how much he gets paid for these things. So I just didn't want to take advantage of it. And then he just kind of almost smacked me and said, "I'm doing it." So, and I'm so glad that he did. And I think
Hmm.
anybody that the website will enjoy it as well.
And I'm so glad that you were inspired to do this and that you kept going despite all of the challenges, the operational challenges, and the time and the effort. And I hope that we as a community can get together and help, like you said, not only relieve for these families getting the costumes, but provide some relief for you and the organization so you can keep building what you're doing because it is so worthwhile. It's incredible. And I'm just so grateful to you. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. And I'm just so excited to see what next year brings.
I was very happy to do this. It brought out a lot of tears, but they were all good tears, so I'm okay.
also fresh out. It makes me think when you were talking about the Halloween memories and the ones that we can't do anymore. And I was thinking about that bobbing for apples. That's something that
Yeah,
when I was a kid,
yeah.
I thought was so cool, which now, of course, talk about COVID and all that. No, you can't do that anymore.
You
It's
can't put
not
your face in
sanitary.
water, somebody
You
else.
can't you can't do that anymore, but that's one of the memories that I always wish, man, I wish my kids, we saw it in Hubie's Halloween. Man, I wish kids could do that still. We can't, but I wish we could. But I think I've got a whole bucket full of tears, but they're happy tears from this episode. And I think it's so inspiring and you're doing amazing things. Keep up the great work. And we're just so proud of you here.
Thank you. I hope you have
Thank
a
you
wonderful
so
day.
much. Oh, thank you so much. I will. I'm going to carry this with me all day. And I know our listeners are too. And we're going to make sure in the show notes that all the information, including the website and links, are there so that you can get involved with October's Child. So you can check out the amazing interview on CBS Saturday Morning. Till next time, as we always see here on Talks with Dr. Shafer, listeners, thank you so much for your time and for investing in yourself and in your community. Stay safe and take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Everybody's lonely, but you can hold on to me, and I will try to make it right. Everyone needs something. Let me be that